Hello everyone and welcome to my final video for E3 2016. My name is Kid Lee and this is going to be my top 10 games of the show. Number 10 is Mass Effect Andromeda. If you don't know, I am a huge fan of the Mass Effect series. It's probably my favorite series of all time. Now the reason why Mass Effect is so low on this list is because we really didn't get too much new information out of it. We got a few little things here and there, but nothing really concrete. And the fact that this game is actually going to be out in less than a year, it's a little bit surprising that we don't have more information. Now, I understand they want to keep the story secret and a lot of other things secret, but they could unveil quite a bit of information while still maintaining a fair amount of their secrets. But overall, when it comes out in January, I'm going to be there day one. We're going to stream the heck out of this thing, and I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game. Number 9 is Civilization 6. This is another series where I've played almost all of them. I've always been a huge fan of the series. You know, my friends and I will do these extremely long, gameplay sessions. We'll pack in for the weekend and just play the thing all weekend from morning till midnight and just have a lot of fun. Civ 6, there are some concerns based on a lot of the core elements and core mechanics that they're changing. People are a little worried about some of that stuff, and there's been a lot of grief about the art style. Personally, I like the new art style, but there's a lot of other people who don't. But this is a game that's going to come out here in just a couple of months, so I'm sure I'll be doing a fair amount of streaming on that one. But yep, 2 thumbs up for me for Civilization 6. Number 8 is Battle Chasers Night War. Now this game is actually based on an old comic book series. The original creators of that comic book series are working on this game, and you gotta think, as a creator, it's oh, back in the day I made this comic book, and now it finally gets to come to life in this video game. This is something that's going to be a little bit different for me. I don't play a lot of these old school, almost Final Fantasy-esque games. So that and the art style in general is really what caught my attention for this particular game. Gonna have to wait till next year for this one, but I've definitely got it on my radar to check out when it does come out. Number 7 is For Honor, and this is actually a game that was unveiled at last year's E3. This year, we got to see a lot more gameplay and just general information about it. This year, they announced that in addition to all the multiplayer stuff, it is going to have a single-player campaign as well. But in this game, you've got the Knights, the Samurai, and the Vikings. All 3 of those factions just going at it, and then there's sort of an overall story arc where there's some other lady or some faction that's making these 3 factions fight over the centuries and centuries and centuries. This game looks really impressive. It's got a new combat style that we've never seen before, and they haven't totally explained how it works, but they call it, I believe it's called the Art of War combat system, where you're actually able to swing and counter and do all these things. Now, there has been other games in the past that have done similar things, but I think what they probably did was they took the ideas from those other games and just simply improved upon them. There's a game called Chivalry, which is really popular among the medieval community as being one of the better games for the sort of hack and slash and dodge block kind of thing. So yeah, For Honor is definitely going to be one to keep your eye on. Number 6 is Detroit Become Human. This is a brand new game that was just announced here at this year's E3, and I believe it's the next David Cage game. If you're familiar with David Cage, he has a reputation for doing some very unusual games, some very good unusual games, I should say. And this one looks to be about the same. I mean, you're playing this android police officer or detective, and the game has many outcomes based on what you do, what you find, what you research, what you do in the dialogue system. So it's one of these games where you could potentially play it, let's say, 4 times and actually have different outcomes every single time. So it's a game that had a very good demo during the Sony press event, if I'm remembering correctly, and it just raised a lot of eyebrows, and they're like, this game looks really good. I believe it's going to be another 2017 game, so if I ever get more information on this one, I will definitely let you know. Number 5 is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Okay, first of all, I am not the biggest South Park fan in the world. I'll maybe catch an episode a year. I mean, that's about it. Now, South Park: The Stick of Truth, that came out a couple of years ago. I got that. That game was incredible. It was hilarious. They absolutely nailed the essence of what South Park is into a video game. So now they've got this one coming out. The presentation and demonstration they had for this was hilarious. You know, we were watching this, Jalen and I, and I think my buddy Genobi as well. We were watching this, and we were just laughing. It was so funny, their presentation on this. But they're basically taking Stick of Truth. It's going to be a follow-up to that. They're going from medieval to superheroes, and so you'll actually be able to create your own superhero, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. You know, there's not a lot of games that do it in the way that this game is going to do it. So even if you're not a South Park fan, or maybe I should say, even if you're a little bit of a South Park fan, you should probably look at picking this one up. Otherwise, you know, I'll be checking it out, so I'll give you the official report on it when the time comes. And this one's actually coming out in December, so happy holidays for the South Park fans. Number 4 is Reek. This is another game that was actually shown at last year's E3, and it's going to be an Xbox/Windows 10 exclusive game. When they showed this last year, it had a very, very impressive showing. It's sort of a girl in the desert, and she's got these robots with her that have these energy cores, but it's just not energy cores. It's also like the memories of these bots, and you're able to take the core and put them into different, you know, mechanical beings, you know, whether it's dogs or spiders or whatever. And it's also one of these sort of post-end of the world video games. But this one is done in like a completely different sort of art style and just story in general. Because so many of the post-end of the world games we get, it's a zombie shooter or whatever. But this one is, you know, it's kind of like she's by herself and she's trying to figure out what's going on. Apparently, like the super, super loose information on the story is that she actually went to that planet with a bunch of others. They were supposed to terraform it into a nice, you know, livable world. And I think she wakes up or something from, you know, carbon freeze or whatever, and she's the only one left. And so she has to figure out, you know, what happened to the other humans. Why are all or most of their robots now evil against them, and just what's going on. Just a really, really interesting idea. I think it's kind of at least potentially a story that we've never seen before, and this one is only a few months away, so I'll be picking that one up, definitely. Next up is number 3, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn, another game that was shown at E3 last year, and this one is another one that's just really, really impressing people. This is the one where it's the red-headed girl with the bow, and she's fighting robot dinosaurs. Now, how did these robot dinosaurs get onto this planet or Earth or whatever this is? We don't know. It's all part of the story. And it's kind of like with Reek. They're coming up with a very interesting story, and a lot of people they really just want to deep dive into that world, fight these robots and tame the robots. And, you know, again, it's an open world game with side quests and combat and crafting and all these things. And just, I mean, I don't know if there's too much more I can say about it. It looks like an incredible third-person action adventure game, and I don't have a PS4 currently. It's the one and only system that I don't have, and one of the reasons for that is I thought the PS4 had sort of a lack of really good games. But here in the last couple of months, you know, you got stuff like Uncharted 4 that's finally come out, and a few others, and now we've got all these new games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Detroit Become Human, but I think Detroit Become Human, I don't know if that's a PS4 exclusive or not, but if it is, I'm going to be buying a PS4 anyway for all these other games. But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, for me, is going to be the game that puts it over the top, and it's like, okay, time to go get a PS4. That and, PlayStation VR, I also think looks amazing and might be the best VR to actually get. But we will have to wait and see on that one. Number 2 is the brand new God of War, and I think we can call it a reboot at this point. And there's some really interesting things going on with this. And the same is going to be said for my number 1 game, which we'll get into here in just a second. But they basically took, a story, a franchise, a character, and they took it out of the genre it was in and put it into a new genre. And that's something you don't see. That's pretty rare from what I can remember. So, your old God of Wars are your semi-top-down-ish hack and slash high-end combat game. And then we've got this new one, and it's like The Witcher or Fallout 4 or like the new Tomb Raider games. It's some combination of all of those. It's now a third-person hack and slash, open world adventure game. And it's just really cool that they would decide to do something like that. The other God of War games have been highly successful, and now you're going to go and completely change the format on it? That's risky. That's very risky for them. Because if your old fan base is used to that old gameplay style, and now you're going to give them something else, they might not like it, and they might not buy this game. But on the other hand, if you have another group of people who like this other genre, and they've done their research, they know that this open world RPG genre is hot. It's really hot right now, and actually it might be too hot. I've heard other people say, you know what, I'm kind of done with these whole open world games. Over the last 5 years, there's been so many of them. Yes, they've been good, but we're getting burned out. So they got to be a little bit careful with that. But yeah, new God of War looks great, and it's definitely going to be probably 100% buy when it comes out in 2017. And then, number 1, not only the game of show for me, but this was the game of the show for a lot of people. They actually tracked the social media numbers across all video games for E3, and this game was number 1 by a country mile, and that is The Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You have got people who, like myself, have not played a Zelda game in 10, 15 years, or perhaps never played a Zelda game, and they're looking at this game and going, holy crap. So just like God of War, like I said, they've taken a game, a character, a story, and a genre, what Zelda used to be, and they've thrown it into something new. So The Legends of Zelda is now a third-person, open-world survival RPG. And not only that, I think they're doing it better than most. You've got all these survival games out there, like your DayZs and your H1Z1s and Ark and a million other ones. And then you've got little Legends of Zelda here that comes along, and they're like, we have a sneaking system that has a sound bar. We have a temperature system. And I'm sitting there thinking, I know other games have got sneaking systems and like this, but the one they've got in this Zelda game and this temperature system thing, why have they not done this? I mean, you guys over there, you're supposed to be the king of these survival games, and you're going to get beat by Zelda. What is this madness, right? But just overall, they're doing something with The Legends of Zelda that's never been done before, and just overall, it looks great. I mean, they played this game for hours on Twitch the other day, showing it off, and it's just like, there's like a leveling or progression system, there's crafting, there's climbing, exploration, hunting, weapon durability system. Again, the sound sneaking system, the hot and cold system. You know, if you go into a cold area, you got to put your Zelda parka on, otherwise you're going to freeze. It's just like, holy crap, they're doing so much with this. It's going to be, but it's potentially one of the best games that's come out in the last 10 years. Potentially, as I say. So yeah, that's my game of show. It was hard to beat that. It really was. I mean, coming up with the whole top 10 list in general was a little bit of a challenge. You know, it's like the top 5, let's say, were pretty locked in. You know, I could move them around a little bit. You know, Legends of Zelda, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Reek, South Park. Those 5 are pretty solid games. You know, Detroit Become Human, I think that's pretty solid in the top 10. But For Honor, Mass Effect, Civ 6, Battle Chasers, I could have easily thrown them out for other games. You know, definitely those bottom 3 or 4, I could have thrown out for other games. I mean, there was so many other games that I could have thrown in there, like Tyranny, the Star Trek VR game, Agents of Mayhem looks good, Absolver looks good, and I could probably throw out another 15 games that all look good. It was a really good show this year, and it'll be great to cover it again next year for all you guys. But yeah, I think that will go ahead and do it for this video. So yeah, there's my top 10. Now, I would love to know what your top 10 is, or top 5. You know, what were some of your favorite games from the show? Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and let's see what you guys have to say. But yep, that will go ahead and do it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that being said, everybody keep playing and have fun.